All right, so ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the Piggly Wiggly here on Lionel Street. This is a crime scene, as you see. Now, the picture on the thumbnail, evidently the individual has already been removed from the area. There you see the police are looking at that vehicle right there. And I'm not sure if there was any indication of fatality, but that picture looked as if EMS was providing medical attention to an individual who was laying. It looks like they were laying right by that car right there. We have individuals still coming out of the store, so that leads me to believe that the incident is fresh. Somebody sent me the picture that you saw in the thumbnail. So if anybody has any information to what has happened, and you see they have the entire area cordon off. So we don't know what's happening. You see a large police presence here. So I'm not sure what happened yet. I'm pretty sure somebody will come up on the live and let us know what happened. Let's see if we can somehow get a better view. You see the police officers over there looking at that vehicle right there. So let's see what's going on. You know what happened over there? They took somebody out on the stretcher. So maybe it's just a heat stroke, something of that nature. We're gonna see if we can somehow get past this rope. I don't know if I can from over here, but I want to get this angle right here. Let's see. So we at the Piggly Wiggly here on Lionel Street. So the young man, I wouldn't call him a young man, the OG, said that they took somebody away on a stretcher, and they are looking, at this vehicle right here. I think I've seen this vehicle before. You see them looking in the car of the vehicle. So whatever has happened, it is definitely something to do with that vehicle. Now, if you look at the vehicle, there is a little dent mark right there. So but they're also looking at this vehicle right there. So all of these vehicles right here are involved in the incident. As you see, once again, the thumbnail, you see a person who was laid out. You was able to see the leg of the individual. And so we're gonna try to get a better angle. That's what only thing I know is somebody said that, he got taken away on a stretcher. So, but of course you see that right there, it says crime scene, do not cross. So whether, it's a shooting or a stabbing or something like that. Yeah, he was looking in both of them cars. Who's that?
Teresa, the
one that's walking.
You going live?
Oh, okay, yeah. You got, yeah. So evidently, but if if y'all know, the vehicle right there, it may be, you know, someone who drives that car that you see. There's a lot of individuals, um, you know, at the scene here. Praying for him. Yeah, we definitely, hope that this is not another situation where someone loses their life. But here you see once again, right here. Hope nobody don't kick me out the yard or nothing. But I'm trying to get a little better view over here of the situation there. You see, the large police presence right there. See if we can. So they were definitely looking at this car right here. How you doing, sir? Huh? Yeah. Did you?
No, man. I take Saturdays and Sundays off.
Oh, you be seeing me at the gym?
Yeah, I saw you a while back.
Oh, so yeah, you look different in uniform, I guess.
Yeah, man. I tell you, I work out Monday through Friday. I take off Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I'm trying that 5 days a week, and I said Friday. Well, I skipped Monday, so it was Tuesday through Saturday. Yeah, how long you been going?
Man, a little over a year now.
Okay, to be sure, if it was a heat stroke, yeah, they wouldn't have crime scene tape if it was a heat stroke. So we saw the picture of them watching the car. Not a fatality, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you just got here.
I just pulled up down. I saw the blue lights just pulled up down here. I didn't even know what was going on. Bro.
So do they call you, or you just?
I was driving up through, saw the blue lights just come down here.
So here you go. This is crime scene take now. I don't know how he got through there, but I was thinking about ducking under, but evidently there is a. So you see, talking to, they're talking to, I guess, a couple of individuals here. I guess they're getting a statement from some individuals, but if anybody knows what's going on, like I said, they were looking at these two vehicles right here. So if anybody knows anybody that has any correlation to these vehicles, then you may want to do a wellness check. But it was definitely somebody laying on the ground, as you see from the picture, surrounded by EMT. They looked like they were giving some extreme medical attention to the individual. So there's definitely some concern. Just the fact that there is crime scene tape right here. Anytime you see crime scene, do not cross, that is a negative sign. Herbstein. Okay, so at 1757, here's somebody giving some information on 7-6. GPD police officers heard what sounded like automatic gunfire somewhere south of the office location. As pretty much 7 o'clock, a shot spotter alert came in for East Walnut's address indicating 15 rounds. There's at least one victim at the Piggly Wiggly on Lionel Street. The victim was reportedly shot in the leg. GPD recovered some evidence at the scene, are looking for suspects who fled in a vehicle. They reportedly got out from the vehicle and started shooting at the victim. At 6:18, one 32-year-old male patient was transported to Wayne UNC as a trauma alert, shot in the left thigh. There is no exit wound possibly has a broken leg as well. There's an active crime scene at this time, so please avoid the area. And this is right here at Piggly Wiggly on the corner of Lionel Street. So fortunately, um, because of that report, and shout out, thank you Urban Homesteading for giving us some information about what happened here. Apparently there has been another shooting. uh, Evidently 15 rounds were fired, and unfortunately, and I say that as a double entendre, unfortunately the individual was just shot in the leg and has been transported to the EMS, but also fortunately the individual did not sustain any life-threatening injuries that we know of. Now also, if you don't know, your femoral artery is in your leg, so hopefully there's not any danger of that being the case. But yeah, this is at the Piggly Wiggly on Lionel Street here, and I think that is the car. I'm not sure, but that looks like the car that was in the picture there. So hopefully the individual is okay. Um, and this just happened at, 17, that's 18, that's at 6 o'clock. So that's about 30 minutes ago when this transpired. So police said that, the individuals responsible for the shooting fled in a vehicle. But, the sad thing about this, Goldsboro, North Carolina, I'm sorry. This is in Goldsboro, North Carolina. So police said the individuals fled. And once again, the sad part is another broad daylight shooting at a place where individuals are going about their everyday life. You have people coming to the store, going to get groceries, trying to feed their families, trying to get some nutrition, and here you have them having to walk past crime scene tape to get to their vehicle. If you look back, you will see one lady having to be led through the crime scene tape to get to her car. Now here you see the officer. I guess he's looking for the VIN number on the vehicle. So yes, in broad daylight, make you don't even want to shop anymore. And it's funny because this was the store I stopped to when I would usually go to Food Lane, and I was just thinking about getting me some chicken to cook for tomorrow. And this would have been the store that I would have went to. But this is a sad occasion where once again people are shooting at public places with no regard for any of the consequences. And of course, when something happens like this, there's definitely several witnesses who has possibly seen the situation. But as that officer once again is looking at that vehicle right there, there's definitely some involvement of that particular vehicle. They're looking in the window, and right outside the window is the right inside the window is the dashboard where the VIN number to the vehicle is. And that vehicle looks very familiar to me. I see that vehicle all the time, or either one just like it. So hopefully the individual that was the victim, yellow Jeep, left the scene. Okay. Yeah, and that's right. The most violent crimes happen between two people who are acquainted with each other. I think, and the statistic is about 80%, if I'm not mistaken, 80 to 90%. So, unfortunately, whatever the issue that these individuals had was not able to be, handled with cool heads. And then Urban Homesteading says that a yellow Jeep left the scene. And I don't know if that is the vehicle that that they were shooting from, because I mean, there's probably a lot of vehicles who left the scene. Like if I was here, I probably would have left the scene, hearing 15 rounds reportedly that was shot. And so, you still see the area cordoned off. They're pointing, to situation. I think the crime scene is being wrapped up. As you see, you see people, once again, people are coming in trying to go and shop, and they have to go all the way around to the back of the store, walk around, and be inconvenienced, all because of another senseless act of violence here in the Wayne County Goldsboro community. There you see this individual police officer. He's what happened? Wendy Williams. There reportedly 15 shots that were fired. One individual was hit and transported to Wayne Memorial Hospital. I still call it Wayne Memorial. I'm never probably going to call it Wayne UNC Health or whatever it is. But he was shot reportedly in the leg, and may have a broken leg as well. So reports of automatic gunfire were reported. And there you see the officers, once again, they're probably describing what happened to each other. I don't know, this little change of position they did right there, where the police Jeep parks in the parking lot, and then bro is the second. I don't know what you mean by second. Are you talking about bro is the second victim that got transferred? So from what I'm understanding, thank you, Urban Homesteading, as well, for filling us in on what happened, because the community is often not times aware of these situations. And this is the Piggly Wiggly. Me and my mama had thought about going to Piggly Wiggly today, man. Yeah, it's getting rough, man. It's getting rough, man. And there's really no excuse for this. I had a meeting with some city leaders and some other city concerned citizens yesterday about how can we engage. And it's definitely it's definitely a societal problem, but it definitely starts in the home with the families, man. Individual mentioned earlier today that there's squeak. What happened? I'm so glad I found your channel. Your live coverage is so professional, better. Thank you. Well, yeah, basically squeak. There was an individual who was shot. May have been the individual who drives this car, and reportedly he was shot in the leg. Dr. J.J. Esparza snitch on camera. I don't know how this is snitching when this is public information, and this information is on Spot Shotter, so I don't understand what that's about. But of course, people always want to label you. But the full story, I guess we'll get the full story from the police reports. Of course, the police reports don't come out until Monday. Lakers in 5. There was an individual, a 32-year-old male, reportedly shot by individuals who hopped out the car and fired 15 rounds, shooting him in the leg. The individual has been transferred to the hospital, hopefully with non-life-threatening injuries. So police are still, I guess they're kind of canvassing the scene. Hope everyone is okay, and I don't think doing it live in a situation like this is the same as seeing news on TV, but unedited. I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, was he gay? What does that have to do with it? I don't know, what that has to do with it. But yeah, this is, what, maybe it's really hard to count how many, broad daylight shootings that there has been in Goldsboro. And you're right, Wendy Williams, this is so dangerous. It's a good thing that no one else got hit. When you're talking about 15 rounds and, anybody knows, straight bullets ricochet, bullets have no names. And so it's not Colorado Springs, this is Goldsboro, North Carolina. Yeah, Diego, he just here for the jokes. But unfortunately, you may be here for the jokes, but this is something that, the small town of Goldsboro is really experiencing, constant loss of life, constant trauma, constant, death. And this is only a town of 50,000 people, Diego. So, maybe if this was New York or Chicago, then it may be something to brush off. But this is a close-knit town. A lot of these shootings are people who are very close related. Some of the families are, some of the families of, shooters and victims are closely related, intertwined either by marriage or, by common law marriage. So this is what we fear, out here, as far as the violence that could quick. Wasn't there a 15-year-old girl killed right there not too long ago? Yeah, that was last year. And unfortunately, from my knowledge, nobody has been brought to justice for that. Although there were, somewheres around 100 people at that locations. So, that speaks to another ill in our community, where once again we allow these things to go unchecked by our community. So as I mentioned before in previous lives, that until we start checking it, until we start community policing ourselves, then of course there will be no one to hold anyone accountable. So don't forget the Food Lion shooting on the other side of the street. So sad. Yeah. So these are grocery store, like these are places where people supposed to go meet. Every time I come to this Piggly Wiggly right here, I see somebody who, I ain't seen in a while, or, I know, and we able to chop it up and laugh and joke, pay your bill, pay your water, what's that, the power bill, pick up, one of those bread of heaven cakes as I'm going out the door. And then, you have to be cognizant of what you're going to face coming out of the store. And there you see, like, a lot of people talking about police presence. Unfortunately, the police, have never thwarted a crime, to my knowledge. They have never thwarted a crime. What they do is respond to crimes. And maybe I'm wrong in that, but the police, beefed up police presence. People don't commit crimes where the police are, and so the police are, just as they are labeled, first responders. So yeah, definitely the Piggly Wiggly is not just a grocery store. Like, I got childhood friends that has been working here since we was in high school. Shout out to Steve Green. I think he works here, and I just met a young man the other day who I talked to on the phone about about yeah, you are wrong. I don't know who you're talking to. Maybe you're responding. But basically, yeah, this is more than just a grocery store. Like, this is, once again, a staple. I think my sisters, both of my sisters, started at 15-year-olds working at this Piggly Wiggly because they were the only, store that would hire people from the age of like 14 and 15. They had a work permit. So this is not just, a grocery store. Like, this is almost, a attack on the family. And when we're talking about family, we're not just talking about brothers and sisters and mothers and cousins. I'm talking about family as a community. We are a community that is a family. It's a village. And so, these things affect the village, either, it might affect you directly or indirectly. And so, hopefully that we'll be able to come together as a village of people. Everybody in this town knows. If you talk to one person, it'll be about 3 or 4 people. Then you'll know who you're talking to. Like they say 6 degrees of separation. In Goldsboro, is probably 1 degree of separation. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. You're one person away from connecting. So did you see the recent video of the Charlotte police officer caught stealing $1,000 from a brother he arrested? Nah, but that happens more than you think. We got our own version of that guy, and that's a Mike Cox and probably a few other officers. But that's definitely not a uncommon thing. And Ray, this is right in Goldsboro, North Carolina, 35 miles southeast of Raleigh. I don't know where you're at, but this is Goldsboro, North Carolina, in Wayne County. Wayne County holds about 100,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. Goldsboro holds about 40 or 50,000 people, and a lot of these, recent violent shootings. North Carolina, Tar Heel State. So, a lot of, we hold about 40 or 50,000 people in this town. And like I said, a lot of people know each other in this town. So, yeah, but it's like everything, you got bad and good cops. Same with, oh yeah, definitely. There's bad and good cops. There's bad lawyers, good lawyers, bad judges. There's bad people on all ends of the spectrum. But we definitely want to accentuate the positive and decentuate the negative in all situations. And this definitely a negative situation. Once again, another broad daylight shooting just last Friday. Rest in peace to the young man Jaden Van, who was unfortunately shot and later succumbed to his injuries earlier this week, just Friday, in another broad daylight shooting, in which the individuals are known by the police. That is a whole nother story. I'm going to give you some information on that later. But the individuals who killed the young man in Willow Run are known to the police, and the police have yet. Appreciate the love, man. Appreciate the love from Seattle, but the individuals have yet to be arrested and reportedly. I'm not going to give y'all too much information on that right now, but I'll definitely do a video about that later, giving you all some details upon that situation and how it transpired. There was a lot of questions that has been answered. What's the crime rate in your county? Man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big statistics guy, but it's definitely pretty high. The chief said, so there you see the officers maybe looking, up there. Maybe some rounds were fired in that direction as well. Yeah, I'm not in Florida where Trayvon. Okay. Well, I forgot that township name in Florida where Trayvon got killed. But yeah, this is just another So the homeowner was the one that died in the Willow Run shooting. No, I'm going to give you tap in like tomorrow morning. I'm going to give that information that the police have put out a narrative to allow, you know, basically the shooting to be almost, in my opinion, swept under the rug. But RP Mel, Tron, TJ, Vito, Sonic, Creed, Earl. That's what's up. Real OGs, man. Rest in peace to all of them. And all of the ones that are not named, man, because we've lost so many over the years through gun violence. And once again, most of the people that I know that I grew up with who lost their life to gun violence, most of them were killed with people that I grew up with, that were cool with them at one time. You know, rest in peace to my guy, you know, Pookie, who lost his life, you know, around this time 2 years ago. Pookie was killed by another childhood associate. We used to all be on the block at Ward's Package Store. Tone used to hustle, you know, the person accused of killing him. Let me say that, because he's not been found guilty. But, you know, and it's just sad that situations transpire, you know, 20, 25 years later, and, you know, two individuals who used to, you know, smoke together or, you know, do business together end up, you know, in a situation where loss of life occurs. So I don't know the particular crime rate, but it's definitely two. Yeah, rest in peace to Bread of Heaven Jeffrey. That's right. You know, and that situation is one that is also, once again, it's just a heart-wrenching situation where, you know, just the family dynamic, or, you know, the dynamic between two individuals involved in those situations is so close. I just, you know, rest in peace to a lot of young guys. That's all I can think of. I've never really known somebody who got killed by somebody that they didn't know. And yeah, and that's another thing too. Life is too precious. We sit around and, you know, we take these things for granted. We do things on a daily basis that could, you know, land us in jail, or, you know, or hell, for better word, or the grave. You know, we look past it. Fortunately, you know, some of us, we grow out of it. Is this near Simpsonville? I'm sorry, I do not have any idea where Simpsonville is. If Simpsonville is in North Carolina, I think Simpsonville is in South Carolina, but this is Goldsboro, North Carolina, Callahan Ice. So I think I've heard of Simpsonville, but if I'm not mistaken, that's in South Carolina. But we are in Goldsboro, North Carolina, southeastern North Carolina. Once again, about an hour north of Fayetteville, you know, 35 minutes southeast of Raleigh, you know, 30 minutes down from Rocky Mount, 30 to 45 minutes from Rocky Mount, you know, about an hour west of New Bern. That was my dad's truck that was hit, and I was supposed to ride with him there, and I always sit in the car when he go inside the pig. Man, take 250 miles. So there you go. Sometimes I cry for my city, drive by. See, that's once again that this individual, and I think I know who that is, said that was their dad's truck that was hit. And see, that's the thing. And, you know, once again, anybody could have been sitting in that car. You know, individuals who do this, there's nothing that somebody could have done that just justifies putting other lives in danger. You know, there's no regard for innocent life. Rest in peace, James Groom Slick. Yeah, my condolences. Definitely. All of those situations, once again, involve people who know each other. You know, all of us in Goldsboro go to the same elementary school, the same middle school, for the most part, like in the inner city. You know, Dillard, North Drive, Carver Heights, you know, whatever, that the Goldsboro High School. So how in the world do you get older and just say, okay, just because of whatever the situation, you know, you mess with my girl, or, you know, you stole something from me, or you disrespected me, or you stay on the other side of town as me. How do we neglect that childhood bond, those childhood boys club or AAU days, or those basketball team days? How do we neglect that, man? Kev 247, Kev Z 247. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, how do we just disregard, those childhood instances of, familiarity with each other? Goldsboro is basically a family town. That's right, Dark Green. It's a family town. Like, everybody in here is family. Like, everywhere I go, if I see somebody from Goldsboro, it's all hugs and it's all laughs and giggles. You know what I'm saying? And stay up, definitely, man. Appreciate the urban homesteading. But yeah, but definitely, there go my man Daniels, Alvino Daniels. No, he late. Well, now he ain't late. He right on time. He's where he supposed to be. But evidently, all the investigation, they got to stop their senselessness. That's right. Yeah, but everywhere I go, I see somebody from Goldsboro. Like, it's all love. Like, and sad to say, like, even when when I went to prison at Polk, you know what I mean? It was individuals, not names, some names. It was individuals, and there. As soon as I came in, I heard somebody say Rick, and it was my man Fresh, Renzo King, and we locked in right there. Even though on the streets, like, some of my friends was beefing with him and some of his friends, but but when we was in jail, it was like, okay, we from Goldsboro, we family. Who else was there? Vars, V was in there, John, Reed, Ray, Bobo. Man, there was so many. Ty, and this was at Polk Youth Center. Yacht, Corey Pigfoot. It was a lot of us in there. But when we, none of that street stuff that we had little disagreements in or on mattered when we was locked in them cells together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that side of the town. Like, yeah, like, even, you know what I'm saying? What do you mean, that side of the town? This town has a 10-mile radius. This town has a 10-mile radius. Like, I can get from anywhere, any side of Goldsboro. I can get from the jungle to, Grantham Street in about 5 or 10 minutes. So there is no side of town. You know what I'm saying? We got to get that through. I said all of us live in the same town. This ain't, once again, like, I was in Norfolk, and they got, Berkeley and Huntersville, or Virginia Beach, Twin Canals and Pine Oaks. Those are neighborhoods that are, 20 minutes away, and some people, what I'm saying, but in a town this small, where everybody, one nation, one her. Yeah, I work with Bobo. He turned it. Yeah, Bobo said, tell Bobo I said what up too, man. There's a Bobo in every friend group. Yeah, nah, Bobo, man, that's my man. But yeah, he was a solid dude. Corey Pearsall was in there too. Corey Pearsall and Corey Piff. And I'm shouting their name because most of these individuals have turned their lives around as well. So, but this is a testament to, when you're 19, 20, 21. A lot of those guys in there, man, I still feel sorry. Like, it was guys that was 21 and was facing 62 years or had been sentenced to 62, 45 years. And you can tell it didn't really hit them yet because they were just walking around playing cards, laughing and joking. And I'm looking at them like, man, I got these 4 months for this hit and run. And this is enough for me. By the grace of God, I've never been to prison since. But I'm just looking at these guys with all that time, and I promise you, it's like it hadn't hit them yet. It definitely hit them yet. So, y'all young guys out there thinking, man, like I said, I met a young lady, very, very good young lady. I actually, helped her son publish a book, but he was, convicted, a couple of years ago for 38, two second-degree murder charges, 38 years. He was only 23, and once again, like, he got in there, he already wrote 2 books, but I'm just sad that he didn't, use that talents before he got in there. I helped publish 2 of his books, and his mother standing beside him. She's hopefully and praying, but something that you did at the age of 23. if he doesn't receive any pre's, 23 plus 38 would be about 60 years old. I mean 80, 23 plus 38. That's 60 years old. Um, and then I'm just hearing, that an individual just told me, an individual that I'm very close with, um, told me that that was their relative, who was the victim of the shooting. So hopefully, and that's what it is. That's where I remember that car from. Because I think I seen this young gentleman, if it's the same relative, I think I seen him at the movies with, his lady and his kid. If it is the same nephew, I don't know. But no, I don't know. I don't think this is the same nephew. But I think that young man was trying to turn his life around. Go anywhere in Goldsboro, and I never felt like I was in the wrong part of town, because like you said, I saw one time. Yeah, and that's the thing. Peasy Head, there was a 32-year-old man who got shot in the leg, transported to Wayne Memorial. It is believed that 15 rounds was fired, and the suspects fled the scene. But yeah, man, like, and that's why I never could understood it. Even when my friends, had beef. Like, I had a friend who, would have beef with people, and I would be right on the block with those people, chilling like, yo, bro, that's between y'all. Now that's my guy, but we out here, man. None of that stuff is important. And and a lot of those guys are some of those guys are still caught up in the system, and some of those guys, took a while to get right. But when you realize the danger, when you start to realize the danger that you put, obviously Wendy hasn't been down Slocum Hood as a white door dash driver. Okay, so I guess you're a white door dash driver. But yeah, this is man, this is something like, and you have all these, people, everybody, once again, is connected. All these people who are coming up here asking questions, like, I know them, and I know people that they know. So this town is too small to be experiencing, situations like this. And once again, like, and you see how quick Free Dante Bryant, being locked up since he was 17, and he 40 now. And see, that's another thing. Now that's what they do too. They're giving you life. They're giving you 40 and 60 years. Now, if you do something when you 17 or 18, like take a life, of course, yeah, 20 years, 30 years, whatever they sentence. But at a certain point of time, okay, look, as a grown man, I'm pretty sure you're going to learn your lesson. I got a gentleman right now who I talked to in prison. He's doing, his release date is 2052, and he's been locked up since the late 90s, the mid 90s. He got a 70-year sentence. He wasn't the trigger man, but he was in a situation where two people lost their life in a robbery. And so now he's fighting for clemency. Now he's been in there 30 years. He's changed his life. He's written books. He has all the proper, intentions of doing good. If he gets another chance, God willing, God forbid, if he has to stay in there 2000 until 2052, he's 49 now. So he will be 77 years old if he lives that long. If he lives that long. We are small, but there are a lot of low-income housing and military base and prison, mental hospital. Free my Uncle Charles. He been down 50 plus. I know you ain't talking about Charles Bryant. I know Charles Bryant just got out too. Charles Bryant did a lot of time, but once again, like, if you do 50 years, like, what more do they want? You do 30 years, like, what more do they want? Now, of course, families of the lives that have been lost, would disagree, which is understandable. But, at a certain point in time, a man is going to learn from his mistakes. If being confined, he's going to want that opportunity to do something better. So, I have been down Slocum Street, but I have no reason to go. But I get what you're saying as a driver. Football number, yeah, man. Football numbers, man. 30 and 40 years, those ain't no. And not only you got to think about your own life, but the family members that you're leaving out here. You know, the family, Free Big Meats, yeah, and a lot of that. I think they just gave a young brother 20 years for having some crack. Right here in Goldsboro, if y'all know that individual, and that's what 20 years for having probably like a coconut, not even a coconut size amount of crack. 20 years for his life. You know, and that's another way that, you know, that they are warehousing us. Yeah, kids. Yeah, I be seeing the kids standing in the yard with the big guns, and actually it was a shootout. You know, not too close to where I live. Well, I always used to see the young brother, you know, sitting on the porch with his gun, like he was just waiting. And one day, you know, what he was waiting for, you know, came. The system has left a lot of sisters unprotected. Definitely. That's another thing. Like we're talking about mothers, though. Think about the mothers of a young man who gets locked up for 20 and 30 years. What kind of strain that they're having. I'm working with a mother now whose son is incarcerated. He hasn't gotten any time yet, but just him being in there and, you know, has given her all due stress. George Watro, my brother, been down for 33, hard, NY. Yeah, definitely. He needs to come on. Definitely, man. Like, I'm pretty sure, you know, if he did 33, you know, ain't that much wilding in the world to think that man is going to come out and get in some trouble. He definitely needs a furlough or clemency, you know. But, you know, that is the system that we have subjected ourselves to. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the early 80s and 90s, we didn't know the drug game. They didn't have the drug laws. Everybody got rich. Everybody got free. But we have made it a lifestyle. You know, the drug game wasn't made to be a lifestyle. That was supposed to be a way up and a way out. You make you $100,000. Nowadays, man, you make $10,000. You can start you can start a business with $10,000. You can buy you a bunch of T-shirts and sell them. Like, you know, you don't have to, you know, make $100,000 or $500,000 then get out. You know what I'm saying? Like this, and it's crazy because as the old saying goes, if you know better, you would do better. But it seems like we know better, but we are still not doing better. Like, we know what the drug life has done to our families, our relatives. You know, we know what the gang culture has done to our families and our relatives. We know what the street life, the street code has done to our families and relatives. But we still, you know, participated in it. And just like my brother Omar Johnson said, it's almost like we have become willing participants in our own destruction. We have become willing participants. From my experience, I still say I've never felt unsafe. No matter what the color you are, you got to be cautious where you go and what time of day. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we have been definitely willing participants in our own destruction. We leaving kids out here. We leaving women out here. We leaving people in a position where it's hard enough to provide for yourself out here in the world, and then asking them to send us canteen money, put money on my phone, spend gas money to travel 2 or 3 hours to come see me every month or every week. You know, we're putting undue strain on on the ones who love us, and we claim we doing it for the ones we love. We not, you know, you have to be honest. You know, when people say that you know that they're doing this or whatever for their family, you have to be honest, because when it all boils down to it, that's a selfish. Oh yeah, and that's too time for us old guys to step up to the plate. Yeah, definitely. We got to get out here. We got to provide them an outlet. You know, and we had the situation about what's going on, bro. Yeah, well, nah, you can, yeah, or you can walk around the back. They've been sending people around the back. Oh, right here? Yeah, and you can get on from the other side. Yeah, so, you know, that's what we have, man. That's what we have. And, you know, my brother right there, you know, he got the open carry, you know what I'm saying? So he's, you know, and that's a, you know, it's definitely time for us to step up. Because, you know, that is something, you know, that we have to do. Get an education and a job that needs to be promoted. We as a society and a community only promote toxicity, and we're right. Like, even down to our music, man. You know what I'm saying? We have to be honest with ourselves. Even down to the music, the movies, the Empire shows we watch, the Power. You know what I'm saying? The what's that, Power, and what's that, Raising Cane, and what's the other drug show everybody watch? Power and something else. You know what I'm saying? But and people don't think that influences. They don't normalize. You know, normalize dysfunction. Normalize, destruction. You know, it normalizes it, man. Yeah, see, and that's Gangsta Geek. You heard? I did. I'm not gonna say no names, but I did just got word that the individual who was shot. Hopefully, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. As you see, once again, the police are kind of opening up the scene. Yeah. The minds of the youth are being Bigfoot, yeah, but see, that's the thing too. Bigfoot, shout out to Foot, because when I first jumped on the block, and ain't no Foot was that old. I was probably like 18, 19, 20. Foot was 35, but he just acted so young, but he broke things down. He would take me under his wing, like, nah, Rick, don't do that, boy. You better be careful, boy. Nah, don't do that. Like I'll be about to do something, he'll just look at me and shake his head. Like we had OGs out there that would take a youngin like myself, who ain't had no business out there, first of all, but was just so green, and be like, nah, Rip. Now, I had to pay my dues and stuff. Like, he beat me in cars and stuff like that, but, he didn't put me out there where I was putting, putting myself in harm's way. Even though he was out there, it was just a different code. It was a different time, man. You know what I'm saying? There was honor among thieves, as they say. Even if the most community doesn't subscribe to the gangster rap, etc., it caused the whole community to be, yeah, definitely, it definitely, man, it's something that, man, I done worked out today. I can't even hop over the porch. Yeah, but it's something, that we dismiss as entertainment, but people don't know what entertainment means. Think of the word enter. It enters you. Enters. Tame. Think of tame. Maintain. Sustain. Obtain. Contain. Tame means it stays there. Mint. Mean you think about it. Government. Establishment. Mint means it's cemented. So those things that we think are just entertainment, they enter us, they stay in a cemented in our mind state, in our spirits, and then we begin to act it out. Music is one of the most powerful influences of the mind and the spirit. And then you add pharmakeia. What is pharmakeia? That's drugs, sorcery, witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? So you add all these things, and then we have wondering why these young people go out with guns and shoot each other. Because they are hypnotized. They are hypnotized by the culture, by the music, by the drugs. All of these things play a part. And when you don't have anybody there to intervene, pharmakeia, think about it. Pharmakeia, that's the Greek word for sorcery and witchcraft. What is pharmakeia? What do you get from a pharmacy? You get drugs. So and they're not yet. It's not too much to do around here. We have to be proactive with things, but self-destruction. Yep, you had it for self-destruction, man. It's a sad thing, but it's not too. We're not too far gone, because once again we can identify the problem. And I was talking to an 80-year-old lady, and I'll say her name. Shirley Edwards. She was saying the disintegration of the family. Even if you got a good family, a lot of times mothers and fathers are out working, providing, right? See how all this stuff that you're talking about linked together in some sort of way? Yeah, man. It's not just one. It's not just one aspect. Nah, it's not a block party. Yeah, we don't have too many block parties. We don't need to party no more. If black people don't party no more, NK, okay. Yeah, you're right though. You're right. Yeah, definitely. And I've read books on, once again, how the entertainment industry is used to hypnotize. What do you think Hollywood is? Hollywood is a wood that they use when they used to want to perform spells on you. You ever thought about when you was watching TV and how you just get so engrossed in it? Spells. Why do you think they call a group of actors a cast? Cast. Think about it. They casting spells. Why do you think the actors call it their craft? I have to work on my craft. Like it's deep, man. But we just think it's all fun and games and you know. But yeah, man, it's deep. Hollywood, that's what they use. That's what they would use back in the days to perform spells. And you think of it like and nobody else might not want to admit it, but I'm the first to say that I was influenced by the music I listened to in the 90s and the music I watched. I wanted to be Tupac and Juice. I wanted to be Old Dog and Menace. I wanted to be Nino and New Jack. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, it's so deep, but we buy into these things and we accept them as a part of our culture, not knowing, where they stem from. You all right, my brother?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. See, we are this. See, I designed this for our race of people. Yep. Television programming. Thank you. What does it mean? What does it say? Programming. When you program something, what do you do? When you program a computer, when you program a system, what do? You get it to do what you want it to do. You know what I'm saying? The CA designed this for a race of people. Yeah, and not even like, man, it's a book called The Laurel Canyon, Stories of the Laurel Canyon. Look, they keep trying to walk past that rope. You want to go to jail or you want to go home? But he probably do it, and that's another thing. People don't have nowhere to go, so sometimes jail is a good place for them. But the stories of Laurel Canyon talked about how the sons of major military intel officers were used to perform that music, that heavy metal satanic music that influenced Charles Manson and the Kate Ansbury murders and stuff like. It's a whole book, and it was Laurel Canyon in Los Angeles. I drove by there, and you can feel the darkness of it. But it was all what they said MK Ultra. That's a little bit too deep to get into now. But have you ever listened to Jordan? Yeah, definitely. That's what that's what Jordan Maxwell. Man, it's a lot of scoffers. What is that? William Cooper, Behold the Pale Horse. I read that book and it just woke me up to everything. And like I said, a lot of people don't read, so they think sometimes you're talking about gibberish. Okay, Pia. What they did what it was a shooting. Apparently someone was shot in the leg. They've been transferred to the hospital so far. I hope and I pray that they are doing well. I just found out that it was a relative of a close friend of mine, a 32-year-old man that was 15 rounds shot, and the vehicle, left the scene. So that's what we're going right now. It's it's definitely hard for people still to get groceries and pull into the parking lot, but right now that is the information that we have. Yeah, Jordan Maxwell, William Cooper, and all of those individuals are individuals who put this information out there. So the only thing we got to do is look beyond what we see. And once again, hopefully the individual once again is all right, and pretty sure he's gonna be all right, because if they say, yeah, I'm still alive, my brother, I'm still alive, yeah, I'm still alive. So but yeah, man, we once again, y'all keep the youth, and not just the city of Goldsboro, but the youth of America, man, because all these things that I mentioned are subjecting their minds and controlling their minds, and it's all a system to control. And once again, I don't want to get too deep, but yes, they were. I sure didn't start there. Was led a little at a time. But yeah, you gotta, man. It's definitely, man. Pale Horse look real, book real. Oh yeah, Behold a Pale Horse. Another book that you want to read as well is The Exhuming of a Nation. Exhuming of a Nation. Noble Drew Ali. That's a great book as well. Message to the Black Man, Elijah Muhammad. Man, there's so many books that woke me up, man. Even the autobiography of Malcolm X and the life and times of Frederick Douglass. Powerful. Up from Slavery, The Miseducation of the Negro. All of these books are eye openers. Eye openers. So, but man, I love all y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. I gotta answer these calls. I guess people are calling with status updates. But man, y'all, I thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, so I can, continue to, I guess, share some information, share some light on things that we need to address as a community, and not just the Panama Papers. Okay, I got to check that out, Dave. I ain't heard of that one yet. The Panama Papers. Yeah, but there's I heard of it. And also, now that you mentioned the ISIS paper, ISIS papers, Francis Cress Wilson, man, there's a lot of scholars that they came before Columbus, man. Like, it's the information is so vast, but we would rather, watch Power or, whatever those shows I see people, all on Netflix every day. What's good to watch? Once again, yeah, I mean, that's why I try not to watch them, because I know I'll get engrossed too. Like, I'll be somewhere watching the TV for 12 hours straight when I could be doing something productive, But, once again, everything in moderation, to all those who do like to watch those programs. But I just, I see the trap, man. I see the trap. We can, what was that? My man just said that there's three kinds of people in the world: those that make things happen, those that watch or talk about what happened, and those who wonder what happened. So, which one are you? You got to examine yourself. But yeah, man, I'm going at 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings. Or if y'all got a story that needs to be shared, you can email taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. But peace and blessings, man. Y'all stay safe. Much love to everybody. Everybody, all race, colors, creeds, ages, sexes, all of that good stuff, man. It's just more love needed, man. Just more love needed to prevent these things, man. But I'm out. Y'all have a blessed night.